Revelation 1583. From the 25th of August 1940. Failure to recognize the exit from God. Sense of belonging. The divine beingness in man is merged with the elementary power indissolubly, that is, it can never exist isolated, only temporarily consider itself as not connected with the elementary power, what does not exclude, however, that the connection exists nevertheless. The temporary separation from God is therefore a state created by the being itself, which can also be remedied by itself again, so it is only up to the will of the being to change the self-created state and to feel itself as belonging to the eternal divinity. And so separation or union with the highest entity is dependent on the will of man. Because his will establishes the right or wrong relationship. His will causes the approach or distance from God, although the entity cannot completely distance itself from God, because it is outflow of the divine love will. A separation from God is therefore impossible, because everything created by God remains in closest connection with God, although it does not recognize its relationship to God. In a difficult hour the feeling of separation can suddenly be extinguished and the feeling of togetherness can come to consciousness extraordinarily strongly, and this is then tremendously significant for the being, because it has recognized its origin and turned to Him who is its creator. Now the divine beingness in man strives towards the same beingness outside of itself, and the unification of the same spiritual takes place. And through the unification with spiritual power the being is connected more and more intimately with the eternal Godhead, and thus the separation is bridged, which actually never existed. Only through the being itself the spiritual distance from God was created by not wanting to recognize the exit from God. God Himself has given the being freedom of will in a certain state of maturity and also the ability to be able to recognize its exit. But the guarantee is not always given that the being uses this ability, therefore imagines itself distant from God and feels well in this God-distant state. Then the being is probably still the same as before. The outflow of divine love will and therefore indissolubly connected with God, but does not recognize itself and now believes to be able to walk the earth way alone from own strength. Then there is only the danger that the whole earth life passes without making the being aware of the spiritual distance from God, and then this has not been reduced, but it continues to exist until the being sees its beginning and its end in God. Until the being has won the realization that it is inseparably merged with the eternal elementary power, and this realization triggers highest bliss in it. Amen.